It all starts in a world packed with dungeons that act as dens for dangerous monsters. Inside these dark labyrinths live all sorts of bizarre creatures, like griffins, and not just them, but horned bears and massive snakes also call these places home. Sometimes these monstrous beasts manage to escape and invade the human world. This brings immense terror to the cities, leaving everyone in total despair. The sheer horror of these creatures scares even the most feared knights. Even so, the knights fight bravely against the creatures for the sake of honor, but the monsters were way too strong, and humanity was just waiting for a hero to save them from imminent extinction. With that, the story takes us to the outskirts of the Belgrade Empire, and there we see a beast thirsty for blood. It was a giant wolf about to attack a mother and her daughter who have nowhere to run. The wolf then lunges right at the two of them, and the desperate mother hugs her child tight, trying to protect him, but at the last second, a mysterious hero appears to save them, and splits the wolf in half with a single attack. Then the hero asks if the mother and son are okay, and she confirms they are. With his squad gathered, he tells the civilians to leave the rest to them. This is Ash, the captain of the 13th unit, also known as our MC. He then orders the family to get to a safe place, and immediately calls his unit to advance and save the village. Then he gives the order for his squad to annihilate the enemies. A monster then catches him off guard and attacks from behind, but he notices the creature's rapid movement. With that, he quickly draws his blade, and drives the sword right into the wolf's neck, but just as he finishes the wolf, a griffin appears in the skies, and the griffin dives at full speed to attack him. Our MC barely dodges, and the creature hits the ground, leaving a crater. Right after, he recovers and gets ready to counter-attack. He then notices a pitchfork leaning against a house. Without thinking twice, he grabs the tool and imbues it with his energy to attack. Next, he throws the pitchfork with all his might against the griffin. The creature screams in pain from the attack and ends up destroying some houses. Even though he's out of breath, our MC remains focused on the combat. Meanwhile, his teammates are surrounded by various different monsters. The Axe Knight complains that the enemies never end and seem infinite, and after finishing off all the creatures in his area, Ash asks if Mirai and Will are okay. Then he raises his sword and yells for them not to lose and to protect the village. With this speech, the Axe Knight fills with determination. Mirai also gets more confident to fight. So, with morale renewed, the whole squad advances against the creatures. Night finally falls, and it seems they defeated all the monsters. Exhausted, Ash wonders if that was everything they had, but suddenly, a gigantic shadow emerges in front of the squad. Seeing this, all members of the unit are completely shocked. A colossal serpent with a sinister appearance shows up in front of the group. Ash stares at the huge beast, and with a smile says it looks like a big boy has arrived. Without wasting time, the giant snake starts gathering fire in its mouth, preparing to attack. It then launches its attack, hitting the ground and setting everything around our hero on fire. Even so, Ash manages to dodge and protect himself. However, he realizes that wasn't all. The giant snake lunges with everything to devour him, but he barely manages to defend himself. With him in its mouth, it slams its own face against the wall, but the impact doesn't deal much damage to him, and he still managed to defend himself from being swallowed. Seeing her captain in danger, the blonde archer screams his name in desperation. This is Uruka, and she readies an arrow charged with energy, and then she fires the powerful arrow straight at the giant serpent. The shot is perfect and hits the creature right in the eye. In pain, the serpent opens its mouth and drops our MC. Ash lands on the ground and thanks Uruka for saving him from danger. Now angry, he prepares to continue the fight. With that, he jumps and gets ready to attack. He then starts concentrating all his strength into the sword and uses his most powerful move to slice the creature in half. Finally, the battle ends and our MC stands before the defeated beast, farming a ton of aura. The village residents can't believe what they just witnessed. With the creature defeated, they shout with joy because they made it. The overflow of monsters in the Empire was successfully contained, thanks to the efforts and bravery of the 13th unit of knights, and mostly because of the feats of Captain Ash, who led everyone. He single-handedly managed to defeat more than 200 monsters in this invasion. Because of this, his comrades celebrate him with lots of partying and joy. His overwhelming power earned him the nickname Ash the Slaughterer. The scene takes us to a grand castle on top of a hill. There, our hero is in the throne room kneeling before the emperor. The king then grants him the rank of quasi-noble for his great deeds, and our MC accepts the honor with great pride. Then Ash parades through the castle hall receiving applause for his great feat. Uruka says this is amazing and that the promotion was huge and well-deserved. His comrades congratulate him on now being an important noble of the empire. With a smile, he tells his friends that he's also going to get engaged. Hearing this, all his comrades are completely shocked by the news, especially poor Uruka, who apparently had a crush on him. She then panics and asks her captain to reject the engagement, but he says it's impossible because his fiancée is Lady Laufey, the second daughter of the prestigious noble House Lagan. He explains he can't refuse since he just became a quasi-noble. Ash is confused with so many things happening at once in his life, but he believes all these things are good for his future. With that, he thought he would have a quiet life full of joy. Our MC really believed everything would work out in the end. This is too good to be true. I don't like where this is going, but 3 years pass, and he is with Laffy, who tells him something shocking. She stands up and says she's going to repeat what she said, so he understands well. Pointing at Ash, Laffy says firmly that their engagement is off. Our MC is left not understanding the reason for this, so he stands up in despair and asks what she means by that. Our MC remembers he changed his clothes and taste just to please her. He even stopped drinking and smoking because of her request. On top of all that, he always gave the girl several expensive gifts, but Laffy says coldly that she was tired of him and dealing with a savage commoner. Then she reveals she's with a noble who gives her many expensive gifts. Ash is shocked and wonders if that is really the only reason for the breakup. He says he truly loves her, but Laffy accuses him of wanting to marry for status. Our MC denies it and says it was actually her father who asked. With that, Laffy gets furious and accuses him of insulting her father. She then turns away saying she doesn't want to talk to a commoner like him anymore. At that moment, the girl calls her guards and orders them to kick him out. The guards grab him by force and drag him out of there without any mercy. While being dragged, our MC screams desperately for Laffy to listen to him, but she ignores him and says coldly that she never wants to see his face again. The scene then changes and shows us the city with its large castle in the background. Alone in the streets, our hero starts to find the whole situation very strange. He thinks it's weird that the Lagan family would break off the engagement publicly. Suddenly, someone calls his name, and he turns around startled by the approach. It's two knights who order him to go to the barracks, as it's an order from a superior. Arriving there, a blonde man kicks him out of the order of knights. Once again, our MC is in shock, not understanding what is happening. He asks the reason, but Mike just calls him a nuisance without giving more details. The blonde guy says Ash is blocking his promotion and his love life too. Looks like he's the reason our MC got dumped and replaced. Hearing this, our hero understands everything and realizes he is Laffy's new partner. This man is Mike Librob, our MC's superior officer. He's just a spoiled brat who got his position because of his family's prestige. Ash understands that Mike did all this out of pure jealousy of his future promotion. Mike notices the look of hatred from our MC and says he never liked the idea of a commoner becoming a noble, and says that Ash's feat was nothing special. This makes the guy remember all the battles he fought with his squad. In anger, our MC grabs him by the collar without thinking twice. He screams completely furious at that noble, but Mike threatens him saying his friends will also be kicked out if he reacts. Worried about his comrades, Ash is left not knowing what to do. Thinking of everyone's well-being, he ends up letting go of the noble. Mike brags and asks if he finally understood the difference in power between them. Next, he rips the Medal of Honor off our hero's uniform. With zero respect, the noble throws the medal on the ground and steps on it. The guy says the most important thing for a knight is something commoners don't have. With an evil smile, he orders our MC to pack his things and leave. Without another option, Ash leaves while everyone looks at him and starts judging him. Noticing their stares, the protagonist realizes something is weird. Then he knocks on the door and enters, saying he came to return the knight's equipment. A man with a mustache welcomes him with a smile and says this is the disgraced knight from the rumors. Our hero asks what rumors he's talking about, but the guy says everyone knows. The man spreads that Ash was dumped for forcing his fiancée to do weird stuff. According to the rumor, he forced the beautiful Laffy to play mummy and baby with him. Disgusted by the situation, she supposedly asked for help from the young master of the Librob family, and that's why the noble Mike got angry and kicked him out to protect the girl. Hearing this bizarre story, our MC can't believe it. With a lot of anger, he yells at the man to stop joking about a serious matter. He leaves furious and punches the wall, blaming Mike for all of that. Our hero can't believe the noble was capable of spreading such a nonsensical rumor. Ash remembers all his effort to get where he got, and that in an instant. Everything he achieved with a lot of sweat was simply thrown in the trash. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls for our MC, who turns around surprised. It was Uruka, running up to him and asking if it's true he's leaving the Knights. This is Uruka, the only member of noble blood in the 13th unit of Knights. With a sad look, he says he was actually fired, and the girl is shocked. She gets desperate and asks why, because she still wants to be guided by him. Our MC smiles affectionately seeing his friend's concern. He remembers she cried a lot when she joined but has grown quite a bit since then, but suddenly she calls him again, and he gets startled by her expression. Uruka says if he wanted to play baby he just had to ask her first. Wait, hold on, I like where this is going. He shouts that the rumor is false, and she says since it's false then he doesn't need to leave. With a sad look, she asks what will happen to the Janus unit. Our MC becomes thoughtful, not knowing what to answer the girl. The scene then takes us to 3 years in the past in a simple village. We see the unit working, and a redhead girl complains that only Ash was rewarded. A guy explains that the Empire doesn't take the danger of dungeons seriously, but Ash says the important thing is that they protected the village and saved everyone, and that the gratitude of the residents is the true reward for hard work. He says everyone should be proud of that, because it's what really matters in the end. Our MC says the recognition of nobles doesn't mean much. With that, he suggests giving the unit a unique name, so they don't forget the battle. Then our hero turns and asks Will if he has any good suggestions. Will suggests Janus, the name of an ancient god with a face on the front and another on the back. Everyone loves the idea and thinks the name fits the team perfectly. Thus, from that day on, they officially became the Janus unit. Back in the present, he says that even leaving, he still considers himself a member. Our MC says no matter where he is, he will always be part of the Janus unit. Uruka then stares at him and asks what he plans to do from now on. He says he's tired of dealing with nobles and is going to another country. Hearing this, Uruka grabs him and says she's going with him, but Ash refuses immediately. Our MC pats her head and tells her to stay and protect the unit. With a serious look, Uruka accepts his decision and says she got the message. Then she asks him to write a letter as soon as he settles down. Our MC says goodbye with a wave while she yells that it's a promise. The girl stands still watching him leave with a very determined look. She then makes a weird face, and we find out she's a Yandere just the way I like it. After that, Ash returns his title and abandons his family name. He hands over his medal and thinks that now he's back to being just a commoner. At the train station, he stretches, feeling a huge weight lifted off his back. Holding a pamphlet, our hero feels completely renewed and freer and prepares to leave on his journey. The train then starts moving and takes him far away from the Empire's capital. Sitting alone in the carriage, our MC enjoys the trip peacefully, but suddenly a man in a hat appears at the door of his cabin. The mysterious man slowly enters the carriage without saying a single word. Then he turns to Ash and asks for a moment of his attention. Our MC looks at the mysterious man and asks who he is. With a smile, the gentleman in the hat approaches and asks if by any chance he dropped the pamphlet. Ash takes the item and thanks him, and the old man asks if it's his first time in the kingdom. Our MC asks how he knew, and the gentleman says he looked like a tourist. Then the guy explains that in the Empire, only the rich can use magic trains. The old man laughs and says in the Rosebell kingdom, this is the most common transport for everyone. He continues explaining that this kingdom is a pioneer in magic tools. This is because the kingdom suffered from constant attacks by monsters from dangerous dungeons, and the only way they had to defend themselves from these threats was using magic. With magic, they created fire and water and could even heal wounds. As a result of the research, they developed magic tools with monster materials. With this, everyone's life changed for the better, and the kingdom became more prosperous. Through magic research and development, the Rosebell kingdom transformed. It became a magic superpower known and respected all over the world. Ash smiles and thinks the Empire fell behind by not valuing the dungeons. A voice announces they are arriving at the second dungeon city, and the little old man says they've arrived. At that, the train stops at the station and an announcement asks passengers to grab their things. Our MC and the gentleman in the hat then go down the stairs to leave the station. Outside the station, someone calls for the old man. It was a well-dressed butler waiting for the gentleman beside a luxurious carriage. Ash thanks the old man for the conversation and shakes his hand to say goodbye. He then welcomes him and wishes him a great stay in the Rosebell kingdom. With a smile on his face, our MC responds very excitedly that he will enjoy it. He then looks at the great city and is impressed with the second dungeon city. Walking through the market, the guy is amazed by the shops and magic items. The place is very busy with several stalls and many people everywhere. Our MC continues walking through the crowd observing everything. Suddenly a woman appears, running desperately in the middle of all those people. Our hero notices her rushing and gets alert with that strange situation. The girl flies past him with a look of panic and fear on her face. Right after, 3 men appear running and one of them yells for the girl to stop. The girl keeps running but ends up entering a dead-end alley and gets cornered. The leader of the group approaches with a smile and says now she has nowhere to run. Completely terrified, the girl tells him to stay back. However, the furious protagonist grabs the bully's shoulder and asks if he hasn't had too much to drink. Irritated, the guy asks who he is, and our MC tells him to stop being pushy. The brute gets furious and yells at him to shut up while preparing a punch. With a quick movement, our hero dodges the blow without any difficulty. Then he counterattacks with a precise punch right in the aggressor's stomach. The guy is completely winded after taking the hit. Seeing their leader on the ground, the other 2 henchmen are completely shocked by the scene. Angry, they curse our MC and prepare to attack together, but Ash deals with both at the same time, thinking they fight pretty well, but concludes that this was to be expected from a city with a dungeon. With a powerful kick, our MC hits the gray-haired henchman right on. The guy flies far away, and the bald guy is shocked seeing his partner defeated so easily. He can't believe the strength our MC just demonstrated. Without giving him time to react, Ash lands a powerful punch on the bald guy's face. In a few seconds, all three bullies are lying on the ground completely defeated. Our MC cracks his knuckles and stares at the group leader, who is still getting up. Very angry, the brute gets up and draws his sword to attack. He says he won't forgive our hero and prepares for a real fight. Ash is surprised and wonders if the guy is really going to use a sword in the middle of the city. Screaming in fury, the bully charges with everything at our MC, but suddenly a knight appears and yells for them to stop all that fighting, and says he can no longer ignore that mess. He says an amateur wouldn't beat a knight and recognizes our hero as Ash Hearts. Our MC also recognizes him and calls him Bale. This young man is Bale Baron, a knight of the kingdom. In the past, he fought against our MC in tournaments between the kingdoms, and they faced each other many times in these friendly competitions. Because of that, the score of wins and losses between them always ended in a tie. Because of this, he considers our hero one of his greatest rivals. To celebrate the unexpected reunion, they toast with 2 mugs of beer. At the tavern, Bale says he went to check the commotion and didn't expect to see him there. He then takes a sip and asks what our MC is doing in the kingdom. With a serious look, our hero prepares to tell everything that happened to him. After hearing the whole story, Bale says he's sorry about what happened and that it was a shame. He puts out his cigarette and says he gets very angry just thinking about that subject. Suddenly, Bale has an idea and suggests he start a new life there. Our MC is confused by the proposal, and then Bale suggests he become a dungeon hunter. The guy gets even more lost because he doesn't understand what a dungeon hunter is. Bale then explains it's a job where a person hunts monsters in dungeons. He says if you collect magic stones from monsters and sell them, you can make a good living. Our MC thinks the idea is interesting, and Bale says he'd love to see a talented ex-knight as a hunter. But suddenly a knight runs in screaming, saying it's an emergency for Bale. The soldier reports there was an outbreak in the dungeon, and both are shocked by the news. The soldier reports a stampede of monsters is happening, and our hero is shocked. He explains an urgent request was sent to the Hunter Association. With a smile, Bale turns and calls for Ash, who doesn't understand anything. Next, he extends his hand and invites him to fight by his side in this battle. A stampede is a phenomenon where monsters go berserk and leave the dungeon. With that, creatures escape their lairs and start destroying everything they find. They then attack people in villages without any mercy or hesitation. Our MC thinks they need to eliminate the monsters before there are casualties. With a determined look, he agrees and says he will help with the mission. He shakes Bale's hand and says he's happy to fight together and won't get in the way. Then the trio goes to a large building, which is the Hunter Association headquarters. The place is chaos with several hunters preparing for the battle to come. A soldier announces Bale's arrival, and a hunter argues about going or not. They were arguing about the contact from the knight's order, and the mood gets tense. Ash comments that the place is a mess, and his friend says it's because the situation is serious. Bale asks the receptionist named May to give the details of the current situation. She reports that 300 blue monkeys appeared on the 10th floor of the dungeon. With a serious look, Bale concludes that a monster stampede is going to happen. The girl then asks who the guy is, and Bale introduces him as his friend Ash. May is a bit confused because she notices our MC isn't a knight. With that, 2 hunters approach and ask if the rookie has experience, but the knight assures the girl that his skill is more than enough. With everything settled, Bale calls everyone to go quickly to the dungeon. The scene shows us the dark entrance of the second dungeon they need to enter. At the camp, Bale says he's going to lend a weapon and armor to Ash. He asks for a light chest plate and a longsword, but Bale suggests he use another weapon. He then hands him a magic sword and asks if he's heard of it. Our hero is curious, and Bale explains it's an exclusive technology of the kingdom. The knight then shows a magic stone and asks him to put it in the sword. Without fully understanding, our MC takes the stone and places it in the designated spot. Suddenly the weapon starts to glow, and a blue aura wraps around the entire blade. The knight explains that this aura greatly increases the sword's cutting power. Our MC is amazed and thinks this will totally change his way of fighting. With everyone ready, Bale shouts and leads the group into the dungeon. On the first floor, the group advances carefully through the stone corridor. Next, they go down to the second floor where the monsters are stronger. Bale explains they set up a barricade on the third floor to fight. Arriving there, Ash is surprised because the place looks like a constructed building. Bale says dungeons are mysterious, but they need to focus on the mission. Next, he points to a door sealed with wooden planks and says they will form a unit there, but Suddenly the wooden barrier starts to crack with several strong impacts. Bale shouts desperately because the monsters have already arrived and the barrier is breaking. He then calls our MC, and the group prepares for the combat to come. With a crash, the barrier is completely destroyed by the fury of the monsters. A horde of furious blue monkeys invades the place with full force to attack. Bale shouts that their weak point is the head, and our hero confirms the info. One of the blue monkeys leaps with everything to attack our MC first, but calmly, he realizes the beast isn't as fast as it seems, so he attacks with the magic sword and cuts the creature in half easily. The hunters are shocked because he defeated the monster with a single strike. Our MC is impressed with the power of the magic sword he's using. Meanwhile, Bale fights and asks if he liked the new sword he gave him, and Ash says he doesn't even need to aim for their weak point anymore. Next, our hero advances and attacks another monkey with a precise cut, and the monster falls to the ground completely defeated, but suddenly the creature starts moving on the ground even after falling. The top part of the beast gets up and tries to attack our hero again. With a quick movement, he cuts the beast one more time without difficulty. Bale explains these monsters are very resilient, and he thinks it's a drag. Our MC kicks one of the monkeys and says that's what a hunter does. Another creature charges at him, but our hero stays focused on the fight. He cuts the beast and complains that the battle is getting hard to continue. Meanwhile, Bale fights and thinks the fur of these monkeys is worth a lot of money. He explains the material is popular for making winter clothes for nobles. The hunters are shocked and say the blue monkeys are anything but weak. Impressed, they wonder who the mysterious helper fighting with Bale is. A knight then reveals that is Ash the Slaughterer, shocking everyone. He explains our MC already managed to stop a stampede in the Empire, and the number of monsters he defeated alone was over 200. Now our MC is farming massive aura. The hunters scream in shock and call him an elite hero for his feat. The knight says if he's on Bale's level, then he's one of the 10 swords of the kingdom. The hunters can't believe it, and remember that this is the highest title in the order of knights. The knight takes off his helmet and confirms the information with a simple nod, and says this is the biggest dream of all the kingdom's knights. Fighting, our MC yells to Bale saying he got even stronger. With a smile, he replies that he also improved a lot since last year. With that, the two continue to fight together with fast and powerful strikes. After defeating everyone, Ash asks if that's what he really thinks, and Bale says this just makes him want our MC to become a hunter even more. The battle ends, and our MC asks if those were all the monsters. The hunters are shocked because they defeated 300 monkeys alone. They feel useless because they did nothing, and the duo celebrates the victory. Back at the association, the receptionist starts counting the reward money. With a smile, she announces they earned 600,000 rows in total. Shocked, our MC asks if elite hunters always earn that much. Bale then winks at him and says he's going to recruit him again. With that, he invites him one more time to become a dungeon hunter. May gets very happy and begs him to become a hunter, and our MC, a bit awkward, accepts. Next, he shakes the girl's hand and says he will become a hunter. Hearing this, everyone in the place celebrates his decision with great joy. Bale then suggests throwing a welcome party to celebrate the new beginning. Night falls, and the party happens with lots of music and fun for everyone there. A few days pass, and the scene takes us to the Imperial Knights headquarters. There, a knight delivers a postcard to Uruka, who was in her room. She thanks her and takes the mail, and then wonders who the postcard is from. But seeing the sender's name, she starts laughing in a weird and very scary way, and starts giving that famous Yandere look while saying she's finally going to see her precious senior. The scene then changes to the Imperial Knights General HQ. With a smile on her face, Uruka holds the postcard and seems full of energy, but her look changes, and she discovers the sender is in the second dungeon city. Suddenly someone calls her, and says she seems to be in a good mood today. Two knights enter the room and greet her from afar. Uruka then asks if their training is over for today, and Mireille sighs and complains she has no motivation without Ash around. With a smile, Uruka reveals she heard he became a hunter in the Rosebell kingdom. She explains a letter arrived at her house, saying he is hunting monsters, and Mireille then asks if hunters earn well, and Will says judging by the letter, money doesn't seem to be a problem, and says it's probably a better environment than putting up with prejudiced people. Will says they are mocked for being in the 13th squad all the time. With a smile, Uruka shocks everyone and announces she's quitting the Knights. Mari asks shocked if she's going after Ash, and Uruka confirms. Will also reveals he's quitting the Knights to take over the family business. With that, Mirai crosses her arms and complains the place is going to be very boring. Suddenly she gets up excited and says she's also going to become a hunter. Hearing this, Uruka turns around with a dark aura and a very sinister look. Seems like our waifu is jealous. Mirai then asks the girl what part of the kingdom Ash is in now. With a scary smile, she replies he is in the first dungeon city. Mirai suggests they go together, but she says she's going after talking to her family. Mirai then says she understands, and immediately raises her arms and announces the 13th squad is disbanded. The scene changes and shows us the grand hall of the Hunter Association. Inside, a girl at the counter says good morning to our MC. She asks if he is there to process his registration, and he confirms. The receptionist gets very excited and says his performance was amazing. Next, the girl introduces herself as Mai and says she hopes to work with him. To finish, she hands some forms for our hero to fill out. With a smile, our MC finishes filling everything out and hands over the paper. Mai takes the documents and says she will register them, asking him to wait. A few minutes later, she returns with a box and hands over the hunter license. The girl then explains he must show the card when entering or leaving the dungeon. She says if someone doesn't return, they send a search team to help. Next, the receptionist warns that all monster material must be handed in. With that, she says taking items to make winter clothes is prohibited. Another rule is that hunters cannot renounce their kingdom's citizenship. Our hero asks about travel, and the girl says it's safer to avoid it. And with a smile, she concludes the explanation and welcomes him to the association. He thanks her, takes his license, and says he will do his best on this journey. With everything settled, the scene takes us to the entrance of the second dungeon. Our MC walks calmly toward the dungeon gate. An employee at the entrance approaches him and asks if he wishes to enter the place, and Ash confirms and shows his license for the man to check. And after the employee confirms the license, he clears the way for our MC, but suddenly a hunter bumps hard into him, and our hero's license flies from his hand and falls to the ground. The guy bends down to pick up the card and apologizes in a very fake way. Next, he points to the beginner mark and mocks our MC. Little does he know Ash is a beast. The hunter then warns him to stay on the lower floors if he doesn't want to die soon. The group leaves laughing, and Ash wonders what is wrong with those guys. Ignoring the situation, he puts on his gloves and gets excited to start his hunter life, and then walks toward the dungeon entrance. On the first floor, he thinks this time he can explore everything more calmly. He then hears a scream and gets a little confused with the situation. Two boys are celebrating because they got a very rare magic stone. Our hero approaches and asks what two hunters so young are doing. One of the boys answers with a smile that they are fishing slimes nearby. To demonstrate, the boy throws a vegetable tied to a fishing rod into the lake. The boy shows the slime approaching to eat the vegetable bait. Then they lure the creature out of the water very carefully. With the creature on land, he attacks it with a sword right in its core. With that, a small magic stone is all that remains of the defeated monster. They explain slimes are docile and perfect for making easy money. He comments that the monsters seem weak, but the boys give a tit. They say if he's good, he can go up to the 10th floor of the dungeon. Suddenly, one of the boys extends his hand, and our hero doesn't understand. And the boy then charges an information fee, and our MC is shocked. With the money in hand, the boy thanks him, and our hero feels like a sucker. He then realizes he also got fished by the smart kids there. With that, our MC composes himself and decides to go to the next floor. With a smile, he gets excited to see the new monsters waiting for him. The scene changes, and our MC arrives on the 4th floor of the dungeon. Ash is surprised because the place is a green field, and the scenery changes every floor. He then looks up and is shocked to see a sky, even though he's underground. Suddenly, our hero hears a noise and sees something moving in the tall grass. A cute rabbit with a horn on its forehead appears, and he thinks the creature is cute, but the creature seems to be planning something, and he gets confused. The rabbit then lunges with full speed at our MC, and he barely dodges, and remembers that even being cute, it's still a monster, and finishes the rabbit. With the beast on the ground, our hero celebrates his first hunt in the dungeon. Next, he grabs a book and looks for the name of the creature he defeated. The book identifies it as a horned rabbit, and the name is exactly what it seems. He then discovers he needs to take the horn and the magic stone from the monster. With that, Ash collects the materials and stores them in a small leather pouch. Now, our MC holds the item and thinks that is a very mysterious pouch. But seeing the price, he is shocked because the items are worth very little money. With that, he decides it's not worth fighting and that he's going to the lower floors. But suddenly our MC is surrounded by a horde of furious rabbits. He then runs away desperately asking the creatures to leave him alone. On the climb to the 9th floor, a few things happened along the way. On the 10th floor, the exploration continues, and he defeats several monsters along the path. Arriving on the 13th floor, our hero takes a deep breath because he's gone pretty far. He then walks through the place and wonders if this time the floor is a cave. Suddenly a sharp scream echoes through the dungeon, and our MC is surprised. Without thinking twice, he runs in the direction of the sound to see what's happening. Up ahead, he finds a group of hunters surrounded by several skeletons. skeletons. Our hero recognizes the group as the same guys from the dungeon entrance. A skeleton with a red cape prepares to attack one of the hunters there. Seeing the scene, our MC advances with everything to save the guy in trouble. With a quick movement, he blocks the creature's blow and protects the hunter. The protagonist then asks if they are okay, and the redhead confirms. Ash stares at the skeleton and thinks it's the first time he's seeing a monster like this. Without hesitating, he attacks the creature with a kick. With the impact, the skeleton's body breaks into several bone pieces. But even on the ground, the beast's head remains alive with glowing eyes. He then wonders if the weak point is the head like the blue monkeys. Our MC attacks with full force and crushes the monster's skull on the ground. After the strike, he sighs in relief, thinking the fight is finally over. Suddenly, a purple magic stone starts glowing in the middle of the broken bones. The creature then starts regenerating, and our hero is shocked by the scene. He wonders if the monster is immortal, but remembers it's already dead. The hunters shout that the magic stone in the chest is the real weak point. Looking at the creature's chest, he realizes that's where he needs to attack. The skeleton then charges right at Ash, and our MC quickly splits the creature. Next, he advances to finish the monster off for good, and lands a direct punch on the magic stone located in its chest, and then rips the magic stone out of the creature's chest. He then finally breaks the stone with his hand. With that, the creature finally falls to the ground and crumbles into a pile of bones. Our MC understands how to defeat them, and stares at the other skeletons. The other armored monsters prepare to attack our hero as a group. With a smile, he says now that he knows the weak point, the fight will be very easy. He then starts defeating them with ease. Only one hit was enough, and in seconds he defeats all the monsters in that location with impressive speed. After that, the battle ends, and our hero sighs in relief while the beasts disappear. The group of hunters then approaches and thanks him for saving their lives. The group leader recognizes him and says he's the same guy from the dungeon entrance. The guy apologizes for mocking him, and Ash asks what happened there. He explains they went deeper because the dungeon was quiet after the outbreak. The guy says they were walking calmly through the dark cave, but suddenly a skeleton appeared and attacked them by surprise from the shadows. He continues saying his friend Sammy protected him, but ended up badly wounded in the arm. The group tried to fight the creatures, but the situation got complicated. The girl then says they didn't stand a chance against the strong monsters. With that, our MC approaches and asks if the injured guy is okay. Ash analyzes the wound and says the guy's life is in danger if not treated. Suddenly, a giant shadow appears and scares the whole group in the cave. A new horde of skeletons emerges from the shadows. Our hero stands up and gets in front of the group to protect all the hunters. With a serious look, he realizes the number of enemies is too large to fight. The other hunters get scared because they realize the situation has gotten very bad. The girl in the group then screams desperately for him to be careful. The protagonist then turns around alert and realizes the skeletons are attacking. Even in trouble, our hero counterattacks with a precise blow to the monster's chest, but the other skeletons are recovering. Ash then realizes the beasts regenerate and that he needs to aim for their magic stone. Seeing the danger, he yells for the others to grab the injured guy and run as fast as possible from there. Next, our MC attacks with a powerful slash to protect the group. Without stopping, he also kicks one of the skeletons to push it back and buy more time. The guy realizes there are too many enemies and he can't hit the magic stones. With this, the situation gets ugly because they are totally surrounded by skeletons. Not knowing what to do, our MC wonders what the best way out would be. Suddenly he has an idea and remembers when he went to buy his new equipment before the mission. After the purchase, he felt ready, but the blacksmith offered him an extra item. The blacksmith explains the item is a smoke bomb made with monster material. Our MC doubted if that would work, but the man insisted. Back to the fight, he searches desperately for the item while the skeletons approach. With a relieved smile, our hero finally finds the smoke bomb in the pouch. With no other choice, he shouts that they need to risk it and try using the object, and throws it with all his might in the direction of the skeleton horde. It hits one of them straight on, and a large cloud of smoke spreads all over the place with the explosion. The group shields themselves from the smoke and wonders if that will work on the monsters. With a tense look, our MC hopes his only chance works. The smoke starts to dissipate, and the skeletons seem stopped and confused. The hunters cheer happily because the monster's movement stopped completely, but Ash yells that it's not time to celebrate and that they need to flee right now. So our hero helps the injured guy, and the group runs to escape the cave. Now in a safe place, our MC says the monsters won't follow them. The injured hunter fears losing his arm, but Ash says he will perform first aid. Carefully, he ties a cloth on the wound to try to stop the bleeding. He then grabs a potion and says the guy will die if he doesn't drink that soon. With that, our hero forces the hunter to drink all the green liquid in the bottle. Seeing the bleeding slowed down, he orders the group to take their friend to the surface. The scene scene then takes us to the city where the sun is almost setting on the horizon. Arriving in the city, our MC screams, desperately asking for a doctor. Then some men take the injured guy on a stretcher to be treated. With that, Ash relaxes on the sofa and thinks his job there is finally done. The group then apologizes and says they will pay him later, but he refuses the money. With a smile, he says it's normal to help each other because they are all hunters there. An hour later, the doctor leaves the room and the group is anxious for the news. The doctor explains that if it weren't for the potion, the guy would have definitely died, but he says they couldn't save the arm, and the group says just living is enough. The girl says she will find a job for her friend, and the leader agrees with the idea. Seeing their friendship, our MC smiles and thinks he feels envious of the group's bond. With that, he remembers his old team and wonders what they are doing now. A month passes, and in a tavern, a hunter asks if he isn't going to join a group. Two buff guys invite him to their group, but Ash says he prefers working alone. The man comments he heard the elite Golden Knight also invited him to the team. Our hero remembers the pretentious invitation from the leader and finds his attitude very annoying. The bald guy then changes the subject and says a monster appeared on the 14th floor. Ash asks what that is, and the other explains it's a rare creature that appears in dungeons. He describes the beast as a knight in black armor and headless called a Dullahan. With that, they warn him to be careful because these monsters are too strong for him. Suddenly, a woman with white shoes enters the tavern and catches everyone's attention. One of the men at the bar is impressed by the lady's beauty. The mysterious blonde walks through the place and leaves all the men enchanted. Back to Ash, the hunters insist on the invitation, but our MC just laughs and refuses once more. Out of nowhere, the blonde girl covers our MC's eyes and asks who it is, while pressing her mountains against his head. I want that to happen to me too. Ash then turns around surprised and recognizes the girl's voice. It was Uruka, the old archer from his night group, and our beloved Yandere. With a smile, she says she came to see him. At night, the two sit outside to talk about what happened. Our MC asks why she came all the way to Rosebell, and Uruka says it's obvious. With a smile, she confesses she came after him, and the guy is left speechless with the news. Ash asks about the knights, but she reveals she asked to leave the group. He then remembers Uruka is from a noble family and questions how they let her go. The girl says she cut ties, and our hero spits out his drink shocked by the revelation. She says when she said she was going to Rosebell, her father challenged her to a fight. In a flashback, she shows she completely defeated her own father in the battle. With a cute look, she says she decided to become a hunter to stay by his side. Our MC gets all red hearing this. This waifu was top tier, no doubt. Uruka winks and says there's no problem being a hunter and a fiancé at the same time. Ash tries to ask something but hesitates, and she encourages him to continue speaking. In his thoughts, he admits he would fall for her if she liked him, but he remembers a betrayal from the past and says he's afraid of being fooled again. Seeing his expression, Uruka gets worried about him, and with a soft voice, she holds his hand. Suddenly she gets angry and yells that he got hurt because of that woman. She then stands up and tells our MC to relax because she will never leave him. With a Yandere look, Uruka promises she will bet her own life on that promise. She then sits on his lap and says she's happy the other one didn't manage to take him. With a smile, she says she will wait forever until he sorts out his feelings. Our MC spits out his drink and wonders if she was really always like this. Awkwardly, he suggests they go back to the inn, and the girl agrees instantly. While they walk, Ash asks if she got an inn, and Uruka says yes. Arriving at a corner, he points in a direction and says his room is there, but to his surprise, Uruka follows the same path as him, even going up the stairs. They then arrive at his room door, and Uruka kept following him. With that, he finally enters the room, and he is completely in shock while Uruka was all happy. Our MC wonders why she is in the same room and sees her luggage. The girl locks the door and said this she did to show how serious she is. She then hugs him and says from now on they will be together forever. I want a crazy one like this in my life too. She then gets close to the protagonist's ear and whispers his name, leaving him all blushing and all red. He is left not knowing what to do. The scene changes, and it's already morning with the sun shining bright in the city of Rosebell. In the room, our hero was completely wrecked. Apparently, it was a good night. He celebrates that he survived the night, and she wakes up saying a very cute good morning. The girl holds his hand and says he managed to hold back very well, but with a smile, she says she won't rush things between them. And here I thought our boy was gonna seal the deal. She then promises that one day she will make him given to her charms no matter what. Uruka calls him to go to the guild because she needs to get her hunter license. Our MC gets a headache with this whole crazy situation at the guild. He thinks if things continue like this he will have insomnia. With everything ready, they enter the place to apply for her license. At the guild, our MC says good morning to the receptionist named Mai, but Uruka appears clinging to to him, and the girl is shocked by the scene she sees. The blonde then says she came to get her license, and Mai gets very jealous. With a forced smile, the receptionist asks them to wait a moment. Not understanding anything, our MC asks Uruka if something is wrong. She says she noticed the girl's feelings and decided to give a little warning. Angrily, the receptionist throws the license on the counter, and Uruka thanks her very happily. The girl stares at the rival with a furious look and thinks she won't lose the battle. Uruka responds with a provocative smile and tells her to do whatever she wants. The two then stare at each other, and a rivalry for the guy's love begins right there. Our MC is sweating bullets because he doesn't know how to act in the middle of the fight. Desperate, he says they need to go to the dungeon, and the receptionist is fuming. In the second dungeon, our hero says with her strength going deep will be chill. With that, they arrive on the 10th floor, which is a forest with giant trees. He points to blue monkeys and asks Uruka to fight alone to test her strength. Seeing the duo, the blue monkeys get furious and prepare for the attack. With that, the creatures run with full force in the direction of the two for the battle. But Uruka stays calm and readies her bow, with a look focused on the target. Next, she fires an energy arrow that hits the monsters directly. Our MC watches the fight from afar, a bit surprised by her strength. Without wasting time, the girl grabs more arrows to continue the rapid attack. With amazing skill, she prepares 3 arrows at once to shoot. The triple shot hits the monkeys and defeats them instantly. Ash is impressed and thinks her accuracy has improved a lot since before. But other monkeys appear and leap onto the girl to attack her. Seeing the danger, he yells for her to switch to close combat in the fight. She then puts away the bow and draws a dagger, and with a quick movement, Uruka attacks one of the monsters with a very precise cut. Suddenly another creature prepares to attack the girl from behind, but with an acrobatic move, she dodges with a jump and lands stabbing the monkey in the back. Our MC thinks her combat is impressive and that they trained well without him. The battle ends, and Uruka climbs on the defeated monster and waves happily to the guy. With a smile, he says he is very proud of his junior and her evolution. With the training finished, the duo leaves the dungeon to rest a bit. Our MC praises Ruka's progress, and she asks for more praise, all happy. Then he suggests that the next day, they explore the 13th floor of the dungeon. But suddenly a hunter appears running and screaming Ash's name desperately. The guy arrives panting and tries to say a named monster appeared out of nowhere. With that, he reveals a Dullahan appeared, and our MC is quite shocked. The news spreads, and several hunters run to the association headquarters. Inside, a girl in shock trembles with fear sitting on a wooden chair. They discover her group found the monster on the 14th floor. The situation is horrible because she was the only survivor and more than 10 people died. Our hero kneels and asks the girl to tell what happened in the dungeon. In panic, she remembers a sword and says everyone died in an instant. He asks more about the sword, but the girl can only cry without saying anything. Seeing her state, Uruka asks our MC what they are going to do. With a serious look, Ash says they need to recover the bodies for burial. May says they can analyze the bodies to know how the monster fights, and says the ideal would be to ask the survivor, but she is in shock and is taken away by the guild staff. Ash then realizes it will be quite difficult to get any information from the girl, and Mai says without knowing how the beast fights, they can't assemble an attack team. She then remembers a named monster that appeared 3 years ago. She explains the subjugation of the red monkey required all elite hunters. The association will assemble a rescue team, but will need an escort. A hunter says whoever goes will die if they encounter the monster without being very strong. With a serious look, our MC thinks of the hunters who died in the dungeon. He then turns and calls the receptionist and volunteers to be the escort for the rescue team. The next day, the group gathers at the camp in front of the second dungeon. They analyze the map, and Ash says the destination is the 14th floor of the place. A knight asks what they will do if they find the Dullahan, and he says they will run. 2 hunters laugh and say they could defeat the monster without problems. Our MC says the mission is dangerous and that Uruka can wait at the inn. Angrily, she shouts she won't be a burden to him and that she will fight together. With a determined look, our hero then shouts for everyone to go to the dungeon. The whole team responds in chorus and advances together to start the rescue mission. The group then arrives on the first floor, which is a dark and very sinister cave. Suddenly, our MC spots something and yells that they are skeleton soldiers. The creatures with red eyes and swords prepare to attack the group. He says the priority is the rescue and orders them to crush their magic stones. Our hero then asks Uruka if she can hit the magic stones. With a jump, she fires an energy arrow that goes straight into the monsters. The other hunters are impressed with the girl's amazing skill. The knights say with her the trip to the 14th floor will be easy. But suddenly a malignant presence emerges. Everyone is shocked, and they start running to the location, and after arriving there, they are surprised by what they see. The headless knight was cutting the hunters like insects. This creature is the Dullahan, an extremely powerful named monster. He then prepares to eliminate one of the hunters, and the hunter manages to defend just barely. The monster's fire sword starts melting the hunter's sword. Seeing this, he realizes he's screwed. The sword then finally gives way, and the creature cuts the hunter. Seeing the hunters defeated and in flames, Ash is shocked because the monster shouldn't be on that floor of the dungeon. Our MC wonders what kind of weapon is that with flames. He then realizes the swords and armor melted with the intense heat. With a worried look, our hero wonders how he's going to fight the beast. The creature then turns and realizes our hero's group is there. Without hesitating, one of the hunters shouts that the beast saw them and orders a retreat. While fleeing, our MC senses something strange and stops running. He realizes the monster isn't following them and gets quite confused. The Dullahan then points the sword towards the protagonist. Apparently, the creature is challenging him. With that, he realizes that it is like the etiquette of a duel between knights. Ash wonders if the beast is waiting for him to draw his sword for the fight. He then remembers his battles against strong and very powerful opponents. The memories show he always liked the thrill of fighting against the best. Our hero recalls the feeling that a single strike could end it all. He remembers the feeling of being on the edge between life and death and battle. With a strange smile, he starts getting excited with the idea of combat. This was a sensation he hadn't felt since he became a hunter in the kingdom. But suddenly Uruka screams his name and pulls him out of his battle trance. She reminds him that everyone's safety is the priority of the current mission. With that, our MC comes to his senses and agrees with his teammate, so the duo turns and runs with full speed to escape that dangerous creature. The Dullahan stands still with his sword stuck in the ground looking like a king. While fleeing, a hunter says only knights could defeat a monster like that. Then Uruka notices something strange and draws our MC's attention. She then reveals he is smiling, and the guy is shocked by the revelation. With his hand on his chin, he thinks about the danger it would be to fight that creature. He knows a single false step in the battle would mean his death. With a strange smile, our MC wonders if he really wants to fight. Back in the city, night falls and the mood of tension continues in the air. Meanwhile, Uruka takes a bath to try to relax after the scare in the dungeon. In his room, our MC thinks about the monster that almost ended everyone. He keeps reflecting on the creature's overwhelming power and how they could beat it. The next day at the guild, the surviving hunters bow in despair. The receptionist is shocked to hear the monster used a flaming sword. The hunters say their armor was destroyed and that it's impossible to beat it. With that, the girl suggests they give up on recovering the dead bodies. A hunter says to call the knights, but she denies it because there are no civilians at risk. Our hero then wonders if there is nothing they can do with the hunters. Seeing the situation, the receptionist turns and calls our MC by name. With a serious look, she asks him to be responsible for the subjugation of the Dullahan. Hearing the request, our hero is completely shocked, but suddenly Uruka grabs his arm tightly to stop him from accepting. With a determined look, she shows she won't let her beloved go into danger. Caught by surprise, our MC asks for some time to think about the proposal. With a smile, the receptionist agrees and tells him to think calmly about the decision. Later in the room, Uruka comes out of the bath drying her hair with a towel. Our hero then calls her for an important conversation. He says he has something very serious to say, and the girl gets very attentive. She then sits on the bed and asks what happened for him to be like that. With a determined look, he reveals he wants to fight the Dullahan, and he says it's not a mission, but his own will. He then turns to Uruka, but she interrupts him before he can speak. Suddenly, the girl squeezes his face hard and leaves him stunned. She complains and asks why he is always like this in such serious moments. With a smile, she questions if he really thought she wouldn't go too. The girl remembers when he said the same thing during the Empire's flood. At that time, he said she didn't need to go because the mission was dangerous. But with a smile, she remembers she replied she would follow him anyway. Our MC tries to argue but is speechless with the girl's attitude. Angrily, Uruka slaps him a few times and shouts that he won't lose to a fake knight. She then calms him down and reminds him she promised never to leave his side. With a smile, she lays him on her lap and says to think about what they will do after winning. Our hero then suggests they eat at a fancy restaurant with the reward, and Uruka thinks a bit about the idea and says good food is nice, but she has something else in mind. With a mischievous look, she reveals she wants a special reward when it's all over. Confused, our MC asks what kind of reward, and she says it's a secret. He then agrees with the idea, and Uruka cheers happily, forgetting her promise that reward is going to be good. The next day, the duo goes to the blacksmith to discuss a plan against the flame sword. The blacksmith suggests a thick shield, but Ash says that would make him too slow in the fight. He explains the only chance is to use speed to attack and retreat multiple times. Uruka then reminds everyone that the monster's flames melt armor and sword. The blacksmith crosses his arms and says, if they melt, they will have to accept them as disposable. Our hero is surprised because that means the battle will cost very expensive. With a smile, Ash understands the situation and says that option exists too. Then the duo walks carefully through the 13th floor of the dungeon. Suddenly our MC spots something ahead and yells that he found it. The Dullahan is standing there with his army of skeletons and a red aura. He realizes the monster is in the same place and wonders if it was waiting for him. With a shocked look, our hero notices something terrible on the cave floor. He sees the number of bodies has increased and the floor is covered in flames. Without wasting time, our MC prepares for the combat to come. With a quick movement, he then grabs something from inside his leather backpack. Our hero takes a small pouch and says he is ready to start the fight. Then he yells for Uruka to go, and the girl prepares to shoot with her bow. With that, the two attack together. Uruka then fires a powerful arrow at them, but the Dullahan blocks the arrow easily. Right after, Ash advances to attack the monster, and the Dullahan prepares to defend against another attack, and then blocks the protagonist's attack. Ash then notices the monster didn't activate its flames. The Headless Knight then raises his sword to attack Ash again. With a crushing blow, the creature attacks our hero with all its strength. Ash struggles to block the attack, but the pressure is too great for him. Seeing the danger, Uruka screams his name and fires an energy arrow. The shot hits the monster's sword and deflects the attack, saving our hero. The girl then asks if he is okay, and our MC confirms yes. He realizes the creature still isn't using its flames in the battle. Our MC thinks the monster seems to be having fun with the duel. With a smile on his face, he finds that whole situation quite interesting. He then stands up and asks if they can continue with the fight now. The Dullahan seems to understand the challenge and prepares for the next round. He then starts lifting the sword and points at our MC, and Ash also points at him, demonstrating he accepts his challenge. The beast's blue flame seems to burn with more intensity now, but our hero isn't intimidated and keeps his gaze focused on the battle. With a leap, he advances with everything and attacks the Headless Knight, but the monster defends again. Ash then realizes something important. He notices the creature won't use the fire sword for now. The battle continues with the two trading fast blows and moving through the cave. Seeing the fight, Uruka prepares to help, but our hero yells for her to wait. He realizes the way the monster moves isn't like a common dungeon creature. The movements and posture of the creature are exactly like those of a trained knight. With an idea in mind, our MC decides to test his theory about the monster. He then salutes and introduces himself as Ash X, Knight of the Empire. The Headless Knight understands the salute and stands observing the guy. The creature then moves its feet and positions itself to respond to our hero's gesture. With a movement, he performs the salute of the Knights of the Rosebell Kingdom. Our MC smiles because now he is sure the Dullahan is a Knight of the Kingdom. The protagonist then calls Uruka and says he will fight alone and asks her not to interfere. Our MC stares at the monster and regrets not being able to know his real name. With a serious look, he promises he will make the world remember the creature's strength. Then he advances with everything, yelling that he is ready for the combat to come. With a powerful blow, our hero hits the Headless Knight's chest directly. The impact of the attack manages to crack the monster's armor with great force. Ash is surprised because the beast is very tough and thinks about what to do next. Not giving up, he says he will keep attacking until he manages to break the defense. With that, the creature dodges one of the attacks with a quick and agile movement. At even dodging, the beast's armor ends up cracking a bit more with the blow. With a smile, our MC says it looks like the monster is an invincible. The Dullahan then touches his chest and seems surprised by the damage he received. Angrily, the creature lifts his sword and drives it hard into the cave floor. Suddenly, the weapon's blade starts to catch fire with intense red flames. Now with his sword in flames, the monster prepares to fight with all his power. Seeing the scene, Uruka screams shocked because the creature finally used the fire sword. With a smile, our hero says playtime is over and the fight just got interesting. The Dullahan then prepares because the real battle will start right now. Our MC defends against the flaming blow, but the heat is very intense. With that, his shoulder pad starts catching fire and he screams with the pain of the burn. Then he moves away quickly and throws the burning armor piece on the ground. The headless creature prepares to attack our hero once more with his weapon. He blocks the attack again, but the heat of the sword is too much to handle. His sword can't withstand the heat, and the tip starts melting with the flames. With the guy's sword broken, the monster prepares to deliver the final blow. Seeing the danger, Uruka screams desperately the name of her beloved senpai, but suddenly our hero gives a very confident smile at the situation. Then he blocks the attack with the broken sword and grabs another blade to fight. The monster is surprised because he didn't expect the guy to have another sword. With a smile, he says he also came prepared for that difficult battle. He then shows his magic pouch that can store a large amount of items items. With that, he throws several swords on the ground preparing for combat. He then challenges the monster to see who will break all the swords first, or if he will break the creature's magic stone before that happens. Then our protagonist grabs one of the blades stuck in the ground. With a smile, he calls the Headless Knight for the final duel. Our MC jumps with everything to attack the monster with 2 swords. The Dullahan defends with his fire weapon, and the guy's blade breaks, but even with the broken sword, he continues the attack with the other hand. With a precise blow, he hits the Headless Knight's chest. The monster retreats with the impact, and our hero gives him no time to breathe. The creature then prepares for a powerful counterattack with his sword. With that, he lands a flaming blow on our MC with full force. The guy's sword melts with the heat, but he doesn't give up the fight. Quickly he moves away and grabs another one of his swords on the ground. With a determined look, he prepares to continue the intense duel. He then yells that only 4 swords remain and prepares for the next attack. With a quick movement, our hero throws the blade like a spear at the monster, but the Dullahan dodges the attack easily using his fire sword. Not giving up, Ash throws another sword and yells that now only 3 remain. The creature then spins his weapon and creates a large whirlwind of flames in the cave. With that, he releases a powerful wave of fire that goes in the direction of our hero. Our MC is shocked by the crushing power of that flaming attack. A huge explosion of fire happens and incinerates everything around the guy. Seeing the scene, Uruka screams desperately the name of her beloved senpai with much fear. Our MC is completely swallowed by the intense flames of the monster's attack. Even so, he stands firm in the middle of the fire and protects himself with his magic sword. With a determined look, he prepares because now only a single sword remains. Then he jumps very high and throws his last sword with everything at the monster. Our MC lands and catches the sword in the air for a final and powerful blow. The Dullahan notices the movement and prepares to counterattack the guy's blow. The Dullahan releases a powerful flame attack advancing against our hero, but with an amazing jump, he dodges the fire and prepares for the final blow. With shining eyes, he yells that he will end that fight once and for all. Then he attacks with everything, and his sword hits the monster's chest directly. With the blow, the creature's magic stone breaks, and the battle finally ends. The monster's magic stone didn't break completely, and Ash got worried. Lying on the ground, the Headless Knight seemed defeated by the attack. Our MC wonders what he will do now, because he only has 1 sword left. But suddenly the creature gets up with his flaming sword and stares at the guy. The Headless Knight then raises his large sword, as if he were going to surrender. Suddenly the monster offers his own weapon to our MC, who is in shock. Not understanding anything, Ash asks if the sword is really for him and gets confused. With a gesture, the creature extends the weapon toward our hero without hesitation. He then approaches and takes the sword from the monster's hand very carefully. The Dullahan stands waiting for the guy to take the sword for the final blow. With the new weapon in hand, he asks if the monster wants him to finish him off. Our hero thinks if the beast were human, that last blow would have killed him. With closed eyes, he regrets the exciting battle is already over. Then he says goodbye to the Black Knight and recognizes him as a true warrior. With a furious scream, he delivers the final blow and destroys the monster with his own weapon. With the final blow, the creature's blue light goes out and his helmet starts to fall. The monster's armor then shatters and falls to the ground with a loud noise. Panting, our MC says the battle finally ended with his victory. The scene changes and shows us the grand headquarters of the Hunter Association in the city. The other hunters are shocked and can't believe he defeated the Dullahan. With a smile, the duo celebrates the victory, and Uruka holds a piece of the armor. The other hunters praise him, and our hero says the rest is in the magic pouch. Suddenly the receptionist screams desperately and forbids him from touching the items. She tells him to store everything until the knights arrive, and not to lose anything. Next, the girl orders them to contact Lord Bale and prepare the biggest room. Seeing the fuss, our MC thinks things just got more difficult. Then Bale arrives and says he knew our hero would manage to defeat the monster. Ash is surprised and asks if he came all the way there just to check the materials. The noble explains rare items need witnesses for the official handover. Our hero thinks that's a drag and Bale asks to see the creature's items. Now, in the room, they expose the Headless Knight's armor and sword for analysis. A man with a monocle analyzes the armor while our hero watches from afar. The man confirms that is the Dullahan's armor mentioned in the report. Bale says the armor is valuable, but the sword is an absurdly rare item. The sword then starts to glow, and he reveals that is a magic sword. Hearing this, the man and the receptionist are completely shocked by the news. The girl asks if it's true, and our MC questions what a magic sword is. Bale explains it doesn't need a magic stone and its effects are inexhaustible. He reveals it's the 5th time such a sword has been found, and that it's a historic discovery. With that, he says says Ash will receive a letter of thanks and a big reward. The noble then asks the duo to write a detailed report on the battle. The man says everything will be sent to an institute and will become research material. The duo takes the papers and Uruka asks confused what this institute is. He explains it's a royal organization that studies the mysteries of dungeons and magic. After the explanation, Bale turns and draws our MC's attention to say something. With a serious look, Bale asks our MC what the Dullahan was like. Our hero then replies there is no mistake about the monster's identity. With a serious expression, he reveals the creature was a true knight. Bale then says he suspected as much because the armor is from an old knight of the kingdom. Thoughtful, he wonders if a human can become a monster and what the institute will think. Our hero regrets not knowing his name, and Bale asks if the beast was strong. With an excited smile, our MC confirms he was very powerful. He then finishes saying the monster was a magnificent knight of the kingdom. With the reports in hand, the receptionist congratulates the duo for the good work. By night, our hero stretches and complains everything took longer than expected. Exhausted, he says he's tired and wants to go back to the inn to relax. But suddenly the other hunters appear and invite them to a celebration party. The duo is awkward and unsure how to react to the unexpected invitation from the hunters. The scene then takes us to a tavern full of people and lots of food on the table. Mugs raised, everyone toasts and celebrates the great victory against the monster. In the tavern, the hunters celebrate him and call him Ash the Dullahan Hunter. With a smile, our MC thinks this new nickname is much better. One of the men then turns and asks if the duo already has a name for the group. Our MC takes a sip and gets thoughtful with the hunter's question. He then remembers when his friend suggested the name Janus for the squad. The memory shows everyone from the old unit liked the name idea. With a smile on his face, he seems to already have the answer to the man's question. Ash then says they decided this a long time ago and looks at his partner. With a radiant smile on her face, Uruka agrees with him instantly. The other hunters are confused and don't understand what the duo is talking about. With that, they reveal their group name is now the Janus Squad. The scene then changes and takes us to a station with a large blue magic train. Suddenly, a person with a black brute gets off the train and steps on the platform. It was Mary, who screams excitedly and says she finally arrived at her final destination. Looking at the city, she comments the train ride wasn't that bad. With a smile on her face, the girl gets excited and says that is the first dungeon city, and says she is going after Ash and Uruka to find them. Full of plans, Mirai walks through the city and thinks about becoming a hunter with Ash and Uruka. She dreams of drinking a lot and betting all the money she earns on her hunts. With an excited look, she is sure this new life will be the best of all. With that, she finally arrives at her destination, which is the famous Hunter Association. As soon as she enters, some hunters stare at her, and one of them comments on her appearance. With a malicious smile, the group decides they will try to approach the redhead girl, but she ignores the guys and goes to the counter saying she is looking for a person. She then asks for a hunter from the Empire named Ash, and the girl is confused, but the receptionist denies and says there is no one with that name there, and Mirai is shocked. With that, she realizes she is in the first dungeon city and that Uruka tricked her. With a lot of anger, she remembers Uruka's evil smile and calls her a brat. She then screams furiously because the blonde lied to be alone with our MC. With eyes in flames, she screams her plan to get rich won't end there. She asks where there is another association, and the girl says there is one in the second and third city. Not knowing which to choose, Mirai decides she will start her search in the closest city. Angrily, Mirai shows her money and asks if she can take a train with that, but the receptionist says as it's not enough, and the girl gets desperate. Suddenly a voice calls her, and she turns to see who the owner of the voice is. It's the group of hunters offering help because they noticed she was broke. The leader then approaches and says he would lend the money in exchange for something. Out of patience, the redhead girl just huffs and prepares for the fight to come. With a precise punch, she hits the leader of the hunter group right in the face. With the blow, the guy flies far, and his friends are shocked by the girl's strength. Without giving them time to react, she advances toward the next one. With a powerful kick, she hits the other hunter right in the face with full force. The guy falls to the ground defeated, and his friend gets scared by her strength. With a focused look, she turns and prepares to attack the last of the group. Then she lands a roundhouse kick with everything in the last aggressor's stomach. With that, the three hunters are lying on the ground completely defeated by her, but the leader still angry screams and curses her before passing out for good on the ground. With a final punch, she knocks out the last bully who bothered her. Next, she steps on his face hard to end the fight. The guy faints instantly, and the girl says she was already pretty irritated with everything. With a furious look, she tells the guys to disappear from her sight at once. The receptionist is impressed with the girl's strength and thinks she is amazing. Then she suggests the girl become a hunter because her skills are great. Mirai has an idea and realizes she can become a hunter to earn money. With that, she says she will earn lots of money to go after Ash and the others. The scene changes and shows that 2 days have passed since the fight with the Dullahan. We see our MC and Uruka walking together through the city very happily. Suddenly Uruka calls for Ash, and the two stop walking to look back. Bale appears and says he is escorting the Dullahan's armor and sword. He reveals there was an ancient inscription on the armor, and our hero is shocked. Bale says the monster was a royal knight who disappeared in the dungeon years ago. Our hero wonders if he will have the same end, but Bale says it's a mystery. Bale says the Institute will research the items, and our hero understands the utility. He talks about the rewards from the capital and the guild, and then says goodbye to the duo. With that, our MC and Uruka decide to go to the Hunter Association. In the grand headquarters of the association, a surprise awaits them at the main counter. With a smile, the girl hands them the reward of 5 million, and they are shocked. They calculate each will take 2.5 million, and compare it with bread. The receptionist announces they became exclusive hunters of the second dungeon. Our hero asks if that is important, and she says they will have several benefits. With a smile, the girl asks them to continue defeating many monsters. Night arrives, and the scene takes us to the Grand Inn, where the duo is. Inside, our hero has a drink to try to relax after the busy day. Sitting alone, he wonders how he should spend all that money he earned. Suddenly his room door opens, slowly with light coming from outside, and a barefoot steps into the dark room and approaches him in silence. It was Uruka appearing out of nowhere and calling him senpai with a very serious look. With a hug from behind, Uruka demands the reward and asks if he hasn't forgotten. Our MC answers all awkward that no, while she smiles happily. Then the girl climbs onto the bed and invites him to come to her, and he goes all shy, already knowing what is to come. He then climbs onto the bed, and the two stare at each other with a very tense mood in the air. Suddenly the girl pushes him, and he falls lying on the bed understanding nothing, and Ruka stares at him with a very provocative smile. With a blushing face, she was ready to suck the soul out of our MC, figuratively speaking of course. I just wanted one like this in my life. And seeing her acting that way, Ash gets completely flushed. Next, she grabs his arm and adjusts it on the bed with a quick movement. With a smile, the girl lies down and uses his arm as a pillow. She then says from today on she wants him to sleep like this with her always. The guy asks if that's all, and she questions if he was disappointed. The girl says she promised to wait and asks if she was sneaky with him. Our hero smiles and says no, and that this way of hers suits her very well. With an affectionate gesture, he strokes her head carefully, and then hugs her and says she is important, asking her to stay with him. With a blushing face, she replies that of course she will stay by her senpai's side. The girl promises she will stay with him and prove it forever. A week passes since the great battle against the Headless Knight. Thus the duo starts their new life as hunters in the Janus squad. Our MC says they already deal easily with the monsters on the 15th floor. He then wonders what the 16th floor would be like, and she doesn't know the answer. With a smile, he suggests they take a look at the next floor of the dungeon. Arriving on the 16th floor, the duo is completely shocked by the view. The place is a giant desert with a blue sky and mountains in the background scenery. Our MC is shocked by the size, and she wonders if they are still in the dungeon. He comments that dungeons are mysterious but notices something strange in the air. Suddenly a horde of giant bird monsters appears flying in the blue sky. One of the creatures then dives down with everything to attack the hunter duo. With a focused look, our MC draws his sword and prepares for combat. He then dodges the creature's attack and shouts that the beast finally arrived. With a sharp scream, the bird monster seems quite irritated by the guy dodging. Then the creature launches its feathers like missiles in our hero's direction. With a quick movement, Ash dodges the feathers that stick into the sandy ground. Suddenly the feathers stuck in the ground start to glow with intense light. With that, a large explosion happens and throws our MC far away. Uruka says the beast throws feathers and explodes them, and that the creature uses magic. Without giving them time to recover, the monster prepares to attack again. Seeing the danger, our hero screams desperately for Uruka to run from there fast. But suddenly a female voice says he is wrong about running from the fight. A blue-haired swordswoman appears and says now is their chance to attack. With a quick movement, she advances and attacks the monsters with an energy blow. Her powerful attack cuts the air with a purple aura and goes straight at the monsters. With a single blow, she defeats the creatures and lands on the ground with a focused look. The blue-haired swordswoman shouts for her group to follow her for the attack. With that, a group of 3 hunters advances with everything to the battle. An archer from the group prepares an energy arrow to attack the monsters. With that, the flying creatures try to dodge the attacks but are hit. The white-haired girl attacks with a powerful fire slash on one of the beasts, and the redhead guy also attacks with a blue energy blow on the other creature. Seeing the scene, our MC and Uruka are impressed with their skill. The blue-haired woman then turns and says, "It's been a while since she saw him." Our hero thanks her for saving the duo and calls her Tanya, but suddenly the woman kisses him on the cheek and leaves him shocked. Seeing the scene, Uruka gets completely furious and shocked by the woman's attitude. With a smile, she says she would do anything for him, and that it was nothing. Jealous, Uruka steps in front and screams for the woman to stop that. She then starts rubbing our hero's face to wipe off the kiss. With a dark aura, Uruka asks who this woman is to her senpai. With a confident smile, Tanya stares at the blonde and asks what she meant by that. At the tavern, Tanya joins them, and our MC introduces her to Uruka. With a smile, the blue-haired girl introduces herself as Tanya and greets the girl. Uruka then explains she is the leader of the Goddess Sword group and a noble. Our MC asks if she wasn't at home, and Tanya confirms yes. Eating, she says it's a shame because if she hadn't gone, she would have defeated the Dullahan. Uruka gets annoyed and says she doesn't know how strong the monster really was. In a flashback, it is shown that Tanya has defeated a named monster before. With a smile, she says she became a hunter to have fame on her own merit. Uruka then asks our hero how a noble like her knows him. With a smile, he reveals Tanya has tried to recruit him for her group before. With a determined look, the blue-haired girl thinks she hasn't gave up yet. Ash says if he joined the group, hunting on the lower floors would be safer. Suddenly, Tanya makes an indecent proposal to him and shocks everyone at the table. With a red face, Uruka screams in disbelief and our hero chokes shocked. She asks if it isn't a good deal, but he yells that's not the point of the conversation. All awkward, our MC says he's going to the bathroom to escape the situation. With a smile, Tanya watches him walking away completely awkward from the place. Suddenly, the blue-haired girl is interrupted by a strong slam on the table. With a dark aura, Uruka threatens her and says she will kill her if she touches senpai. The blue-haired woman laughs at the scene and says Uruka seems very jealous. Next, she approaches and holds the blonde girl's chin with a serious look. With a seductive smile, Tanya reveals she doesn't just want Ash, but also wants Uruka. Hearing this, the blonde girl is completely in shock and without any reaction. Tanya then says all the kittens in her group are very satisfied with her. Her teammates all get red and awkward with the comment. With a blushing face, Uruka calls her a beast and is impressed with the attitude. Tanya says she takes everything she desires and doesn't hesitate to use her own weapons. Even so, the blonde girl isn't intimidated and stares at her with a determined look. She then screams she won't lose the battle and won't hand over her senpai. With a snap of her fingers, Tanya says she understood and suggests they start soon. With that, the waitresses bring several mugs of beer for the big competition. Tanya then challenges Uruka to a drinking competition, and the blonde accepts instantly. Our MC screams shocked and asks for another round for the two girls. Uruka downs the mug with everything and drinks non-stop, trying to win the dispute. Tanya isn't left behind and also drinks with great will to win the bet. The two slam the mugs on the table and continue to drink non-stop for a second. Our hero tells Uruka to stop, but she screams for him to shut up and not interfere. With the girl passed out, he says that's enough, and Tanya says now he owes her one. With a smile, she says she will be waiting for him any time he wants, but our MC smiles and replies that waiting for him won't do any good. The blue-haired girl just laughs at his answer and doesn't seem to care much. With a wink, she says goodbye to Ash and leaves with her group of hunters. At night, our hero carries Uruka on his back because she drank too much in the competition. The girl then asks him to hold tight while they walk through the dark street. With a smile, she thinks she won't let anyone else be with her beloved senpai. With the starry night in the background, our MC carries her and agrees with her. The next day, a man in his suit appears and asks them to tell about the Dullahan. The duo is surprised, and our MC asks if he can help the man with something. With a handshake, he asks how it was to fight such a strong monster. With shining eyes, the old man asks if the creature was strong, and Ash confirms. The man continues with his questions, and Uruka is awkward, not knowing what to say. He keeps asking about the dominant hand and the creature's speed. The duo gets scared by the man's manner and wonders who he is. Our hero then asks his name, and the old man apologizes for the excitement. He then introduces himself as Edgar Baluna, the director of a research institute. The duo is shocked because he is a high-ranking noble and a director. Edgar says he saw the monster's armor and thought it was all fascinating. He continues saying he wanted to know more details, and that's why he came to them. Our MC is impressed with the amazing energy coming from the director. With a cigar in his hand, he says the introductions are over and they can continue. With a snap of his fingers, Edgar uses magic to create a small flame on his finger. He then lights his cigar with the flame and stares at the duo with a powerful aura. Shocked, the duo realizes the man is a mage and that he used magic right there. Blowing out the smoke, he asks them to continue telling the Dullahan story. With that, the duo understands he is a sorcerer, and he insists on the fight details. The conversation extends for quite a while, and the clock on the wall marks the hours passing. After a long time, Ash says that's all he knows about the Dullahan. Edgar seems satisfied and congratulates their good work in reporting all the facts. with the cigar in his mouth. He stares at our hero and asks what he thinks of all that. The director then puts out his cigar and agrees with the theory that the Dullahan was human. Our MC gets curious and asks if a dead person can become a monster. The director reveals that before coming there, he checked the 14th floor of the dungeon. In a flashback, he shows he explored the cave where the monster was found. He walked through the darkness of the dungeon holding a lantern to light the way. Suddenly, the man is startled by something terrible he finds inside the cave. The lantern light reveals a skeleton knight, and he says he found them in that place. He then realizes it wasn't just one, but several Kingdom Knight skeletons in the dungeon. A huge pile of Kingdom Knight bones was fused into the cave walls. Hearing this shocking revelation, the duo was completely speechless and scared. Our MC asks shocked if the remains were the monster's comrades, and Edgar confirms. The director then asks if they know what the mysterious magic essence is, with an aura of fire. He explains as the energy mages use for magic. He continues saying a normal sword can become magical with that energy. With that, he theorizes that a human body can also become a monster in the dungeon. The duo stays silent and thoughtful with the director's new and shocking revelation. With a smile, Edgar asks if they don't find that whole situation exciting. He shouts that solving the mysteries of dungeons and magic is what he seeks most. Uruka then asks if the director explored the 14th floor alone and unprotected. The director laughs and says he took his assistant Sergio and some hunters with him. Suddenly, two men invade the room, and one of them yells that he finally found him. The director recognizes Sergio, who yells angrily for him always running away alone from the escort. Edgar laughs and says he just wanted to hear more from Ash, but his assistant remains irritated. The other assistant says Edgar always acts like this, and our hero thinks it's a drag. Our MC says he just found out how magic swords are made and shocks him. The assistant asks them to keep everything a secret, and our hero thinks he shouldn't have heard. Edgar tells his assistant he learned a lot from Ash and that he will proceed with the plan. With that, the assistant asks the duo to go to the Hunter Association the next day. Ash and Ruka are completely confused, not understanding the reason for that invitation. The scene then takes us to the next day at the Grand Hunter Association headquarters. Inside, the duo waits sitting at a table while the receptionist attends to them. Our MC hears the door open and asks if it's Bale arriving at the place. Suddenly, a blonde man with long hair enters the hall with an intense shine. This is Kyle, the leader of the Golden Knight group, and he seems very full of himself. Next, two buff guys from the Big Claw group also appear and greet the duo. To complete the set, Tanya, the leader of the Goddess Sword, also appears with a diva pose. Our hero asks the buff guys if they were also called, and they confirm. Kyle and Tanya realize all the elite groups of the city were gathered for something big. Seeing Tanya there, Uruka is dying of jealousy and stares at her with a very furious look. Edgar then arrives with his assistant and says good morning to all the hunters present. Kyle asks why they gathered all the best hunters in the city there. With a map on the wall, Edgar explains that named monsters have been appearing frequently. He shows drawings of the red monkey and the Dullahan and says they are very strong. Pointing at the map, he says something strange is happening in the second dungeon. With a determined look, Edgar announces they will conduct a large-scale investigation. All the hunters are surprised, and the buff guys realize the importance of the mission. Kyle and Tanya also understand the seriousness of the situation and pay attention to the explanation. Ash and Uruka stare at the director and realize the mission is for all elite hunters. With a gesture, Edgar asks for the help of all the hunters present for the mission. All the hunters remain silent and thoughtful about Edgar's proposal. The assistant then explains they will go with the order of knights to the bottom of the dungeon. The buff guys comment the mission is bigger than others and that they will go to the 20th floor. The receptionist informs that the association will prepare everything and the mission starts in 2 weeks. Tanya then asks if participation in the mission is mandatory for all hunters. The assistant confirms and says it's an order from the queen and the situation is very serious. The buff guys think with so many people the mission will be a breeze. One even comments that the Kingdom Knights with magic weapons will come too, but the blonde assistant warns them not to underestimate the situation. He then asks what the deepest floor each group there has reached. With that, Tanya says she reached the 18th floor, and the bald guy and Kyle say they went to the 17th. With a bit of shame, our MC reveals he is still exploring the 16th floor of the dungeon. The assistant says that is impressive, but the real problem is the 19th floor. With a serious look, he reveals all investigation teams from the past were annihilated there. Ash and Tanya are shocked, and our hero shouts that even the Order of Knights with their weapons was defeated. The guy confirms and says there is a named monster there that is much stronger than the others they have seen. Then the creature is revealed, and it is a giant and terrifying lizard known as the Lizard King.